Okay, so now let's go ahead and select our images, and apologies for the noise. It's probably because my MacBook here is kind of spinning its fan, so it's probably quite noisy. Now, selecting images. So resist the urge to submit all of your images for inspection. So multiple submissions or similar submissions might lead to account suspension, so you want to avoid that on some agencies, that is. So it's your job to select the images that you want to sell, not the stock agency's job. Now, I like using a star system when I'm selecting my images. So the first time I go through them, I give the ones that I like 1 star, and then I go through them again. So the 1 star ones, I go through them again, and I give them 2 stars. So basically, I promote them to 2 stars, stars rather. And firstly, I base my selections on visual pleasing, how visually pleasing the image is, and then I check for technical aspects. If an image is obviously out of focus and that's unintentional, it cannot be used for stock really. So after I go through those 2 steps, I finally have 2 or more images that are too similar to each other, and now select them based on their usability. So that is how useful they would be to clients. So I look, for instance, at copy space, expression, and so on. So, just it's a bit subjective really. So in our studio situation, I shot specifically to isolate my model against white, gray, or black. So for those, I usually don't need to have a lot of negative space available, because it's easy enough for the client to simply add more of the same color around the model if need be. So I shot relatively tight around my model. So let's go ahead and start our selection. I'll be doing this in Capture One, but the same star system can be used in Lightroom. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Now, Capture One, I actually made it full screen because at this point I don't really care about any of the adjustments here, so I'll get rid of all of my tools around the image. I probably want to make my thumbnails a bit larger as well, so just increase it a little bit so you can see better what's going on. As you can see, I have the information here underneath my file. There's something you can choose in Capture One in the settings. I prefer to have this now so I see how many stars have been assigned, if any, to the files, and I also have the file name, which is something you might or might not want to be, to be that. Then I can start, I have a shortcut as well, which I use. I press number 1 if I want to give 1 star, 2, 3, 4, 5, you see, so the stars increase and decrease, so 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0 will basically take all the stars away from the picture, so it's still at the starting point. If I want to zoom in to this file, I'll just double click and Capture One opens my viewer here. In this case, I will just start by not having the viewer and have just large thumbnails instead. When I have images that are very similar to each other, I might just open them side by side and compare them. In this case, of course, these are only test shots, so they were not even supposed to be used at all, but I might just find something that I want to use. But in this case, I don't think there's anything too useful, too spectacular about these images really. So just cycle through them, start with here, and then I ask my model to put on the coat. So now I have to make a selection of the ones that I like. It's still a test shot in the beginning here, and then we started posing. Let's just see if there's anything useful here in the... I kind of like this, so I might just assign 1 star to it. I'll just reduce the thumbnail size here so you can see. So that image there has been given 1 star, and I'll go ahead and just cycle through them, kind of like that too. And then that's not part of the shoot really. My model started to pose, but then I asked him to close the... That's really cool as well. And don't worry too much about the borders here. So you see that I have my my polyboards there just to control spill. This can easily be removed. This is pure white around the model, so I can easily just kind of fill that with white in Photoshop if I so request, or I can easily crop that later if I want. So just assign 1 star to it now. Just reduce again the thumbnail so you can see. So that's 1 star, and no, don't like that, don't like that. That's kind of cool, 1 star. No, that's cool as 1 star. So I asked my model to look to the side here. I like that expression a lot, so I'll just kind of play around with it, 1 star. And the idea obviously is, the concept is really kind of, cold and winter and so on, but a little, maybe there's a bit of suspense going on. And okay, that's quite cool. And then a few portraits, just kind of, a few headshots that, might be used. So I'm just comparing these images here. I don't want to, maybe this expression is quite cool as well. This is nice, very suspicious. And maybe this one here. Then I might just like that as well, so 1 star. See, so I'm just kind of, it's very subjective, of course. I mean, there's no right or wrong here. It just depends on what you want. And in fact, I'm just assigning a lot of 1 stars because that's only my first batch, really. And then between the 1 stars later, amongst the 1 stars, I can... That's quite cool, actually. So my model needed a few headshots, so I took a few headshots for him. So, but I won't be using these for the circumstance. I think it's a bit too descriptive. Anyway, that was more like for him than for me. And then we did the gray background, very interesting lighting, I like this a lot, but also just headshots, like so. And then we ended up just putting code again for a couple of shots. It's not really, it doesn't really work with the concept for me, but I kind of like this one shot, so I selected 1 star here, I assigned 1 star to it. And then here we're just testing the light. I didn't quite like, that's before the rim light, you see, so the shadows, they really blend with the background. It's probably a bit dangerous to upload this because there's no separation, so the client would be finding it hard to remove this black background, so it's the only thing that you can do. But I might just kind of, why not? If we find something really interesting here before the rim light was up, we can just select, this is quite cool actually to select that. And now the rim light was up already, and then it's quite cool, but I won't select it. In fact, that's a proper rim light here. I can see we're still testing with the light. In fact, this is not the official shoot. In fact, I wasn't even filming this one. It's quite cinematographic, this one. There's a bit of light spill here, and the background is not gray, black or white. It's nothing, but it's quite an interesting shot. So I might just give 1 star for this now, just because it caught my eye. And then I go ahead and just keep on doing this until I'm happy with my selection. That's quite cool. And then you see that here we have the proper rim light, you see? So the subject is really detached from the background, even a little fur here in the hood. So I made sure that I had the depth of field that was enough to include the hair, the fur. That's quite cool as well. And see how many different looks you can get just by creating a simple concept. Yeah. And that's really interesting as well. I love that expression. Really cool. That bit more portrait, really. I'm not sure how usable this is, but as I said before, this is only my first selection, and in fact the exposure is not great. I would like to have some more light on his face here, but let's see if I can recover that in Capture One a bit. And you see that the hands are really kind of overexposed, not overexposed, but a bit too bright in relation to the face, so it competes with the face. But anyway, let's just go ahead. And then I had a reflector put up, and that kind of sorted the face a little more. And then I had some more mystery and suspense going on here, so I like these shots quite a lot. Maybe something wider makes it more usable, and that's quite cool. A nice portrait. No, not those, not those. No, I played around a lot with the hat. I just love the hood, and this is actually my coat. So here, that's me testing the light again, and just a few more portraits. I won't be using those. And that's it. So we finished that there. Cool. So now what I have is a selection of 1 stars. So different ways that I can play with this now. I can either get rid of my viewer and organize files by rating here, and then the files get automatically organized by star rating. So I have my 1 stars from here to here, and in fact I selected 41, which is not bad. Out of 137 as a first selection. Or the second thing I can do is actually create a smart album, as Capture One calls it. I can ask Capture One to identify all the 1 star or more images. They have presets here, and say 1 star or higher, and click OK. And now I have in that album only the images that have been assigned 1 star or more. Okay, so now I'm going to go through my second review of the images, and at this point I probably want to start looking at similar images too. So let's bring my viewer up again. There you go. So the first, and I don't think I like this image anymore, but let's start promoting them. So 2 stars to this one. Not the second one anymore. This third, quite nice. So 2 stars to that. No, that's definitely 2 stars. 2 stars. And it's more light on the face here, so not 2 stars to this one. It's nice, cool. 2 stars as well. 2 stars. And you see this, maybe I don't like that one too much. It's quite nice, 2 stars. I definitely don't like that one, 2 stars. It's quite cool, 2 stars. And now I have a few repeat ones here, so what I want to do is select them 4 and see which one stands out or really doesn't work at all. So in this situation, I think the first one here, I can give 2 stars to, so that's 2 stars for the first one, and I probably don't want it in the selection anymore. I don't like the first one anymore. There you go. So I won't have that. I'll have these 2 to select from. And in fact, these 2 are different enough, so I can actually assign 2 stars to both of them. They're not competing really. It's quite beautiful, that one. So 2 stars. That's quite suspicious. 2 stars. Very cinematographic. I like that. The crop is a bit awkward in this one. I mean, they can't recover that elbow really, so just not select that. That's quite cool. Suspicious, nice, nice friendly smile, and that's quite cool. So you see, what I'm doing with this is basically reducing the amount of images. In fact, I don't like that. Reducing the amount of images that I have in my selection. So then, eventually, the idea is that I get only the ones that I really like in the end. Okay. I don't like that anymore. That's quite cool. That's interesting too. And these 2, they're very similar, but I think this, you see, this one feels more natural, but at the same time I like the fact that this arm is not cropped on that one. So I might just go with this, just because I find it more usable. Now let's see how many images I have. I'll just create a second smart selection, smart album here. So 2 stars or more, and I'll select a preset, 2 stars or more. Click, and there's a new selection. I have 30 images out of 137. So you see, it gets shorter and shorter, the selection, like, you know, and then I have less options. Now I don't want to make this minimalistic as such, but I do want to, I don't want to send too many repeat images, because, first because, I mean, some websites will just reject them on that basis. They're just too similar to each other. Some others will just say, well, you know, it's too many, make another selection. So in case, you know, I don't like that anymore. In this case, I mean, once I'm in 2 stars, I have 2 options, because I don't have so many images. I don't need to keep on upgrading them. In fact, all of them, or most of them here, are quite cool. But what I want to do, or what I might want to do, is actually downgrade them instead of upgrade to 3 stars now. So because I only have 30 images, let's just select the ones that I don't like anymore and downgrade them instead of upgrading. So you see, I don't like that anymore. So instead of 2 stars, I'll click 1. And it falls out of my selection automatically. So now I have 29 instead of 30, you see. So very, very easy to do. And I like that. Not sure. It might even be out of focus, this one. So, no, it's actually quite sharp, so that's good. See, I actually quite like it. This one I don't like anymore. It's too farcical. No, this one, this 3 here, okay. Yeah, I really like that. I like that. This one is quite interesting too. In fact, you see, I might just have my final selection already. As I said before, I would want to have a lot more images in the final selection if I were shooting specifically for stock. But because I was only doing this for the example, so I have 27 here already, I don't have as many pictures as I would have. Usually I would have at least 40 out of a 2-hour session in a studio. But for these ones, for this kind of isolated on black and white, and for this one concept, I just had the code with me and a model, and we had very short time to film everything. I ended up with less images. But I'm quite happy with the selection here, so I have 27, and I might just work with those. So let's go ahead now and edit those files a little.